You trained as a doctor for all those years.
7 years, I think. Yeah.
And now another 4 years. God damn! Like, guys, keep striking. Leave this government.
Welcome to the Zed101 Podcast, where we discuss all things Zambia. With me, Chanda Mwiko, and the ever so lovely and sometimes really big time gangster, Tanya Malama Fuchs.
Wagwan.
What up, girl?
How you doing?
I ain't doing.
You
I
know?
told you. When we rehearsed, I said, I'm not doing.
Okay, but we're not rehearsing. Now you must be doing.
Okay, I'm doing good.
Okay, cool. I'm good. Yeah, it feels like it's been ages since we filmed.
Well, let me put it in perspective. Since we last did this, you went to another province where you went to preach.
Has it been that long?
And
I was not preaching.
In the process of your preaching, you got bewitched. That's why we couldn't do any shooting. And someone topped off what happened to you.
Huh?
Someone topped off. Someone went through a better experience than you did.
Who?
Our brother. Chitambala Mwewa.
What happened?
He got beat.
Oh.
My brother, you need to come on our show so we discuss what happened, because we've been following what's been going on with you. But we're glad you're okay.
Yeah.
And I would like to have a...
I love his tenacity.
Yes,
I love his
yes.
I don't give a shit. I will film this.
Yes.
I don't give a shit if you judge me. You're going to hear from me.
And you better not stop, actually. He better not
exactly,
stop.
Exactly.
What do you think?
No, I agree.
I think he's doing a good job.
There's a certain perspective that Zambians seem to have. Iwe kala fetondolo. And
not
it's
him.
like, why do you want to shut people up? You should be speaking up more.
Well, the Bwana mentality is really messed us up.
Okay, that's how you define
That's
it.
what I call it. It's like, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's a Bwana mentality. Back in the day when the colonial masters tell you what to do, you're not happy with it, but you just go along with it. Then you go and complain when you're taking your sundowners. Or Chivuku.
Yes.
With your mates, you're like, but here, have some. Yeah, so we like what you're doing. We were glad that you're safe. The episode is gone, it's over, but at least you're on target. You're on the way to getting those guys, because there were 4, I think they got 2.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I said, on the Zambia Zed101 podcast, we discuss all things Zambia, and it is your trusted podcast where everything social, entertainment, political, and everything that's trending, you will get here unfiltered, but in a very honest manner, not like Barabambi. I won't mention them.
But also, it's not a judgmental perspective. It's trying to put across the facts as much as possible.
Yeah.
So,
and we're not going to ridicule you.
No. Well, no, we might.
She's going to do it.
Some people need ridiculing.
And then I'll definitely laugh along. Yes, Mama. We shall unpack some realities on the Zed101 podcast. And this time, guess what we're going to talk about?
What?
You can't guess.
No, I was going to say chocolate, but...
Hot chocolate.
Hot chocolate.
If she ever finds out that I tease her, oh my God, she's going to skin me alive, that woman. Yeah, so we should talk about, you and I have been affected by what's been happening in the country regarding Zambia's growing reliance on free professional labor. They sometimes call it unpaid interns. So we thought professional labor is a better phrase to use, isn't it?
No, unpaid intern is more true to the issue. Professional what? Intern. Professional what?
Unpaid, Zambia's growing reliance on free professional labor.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. That's just, it sounds too nice.
Sounds so nice.
It is broke ass people who are qualified in a job and they ain't getting paid for working the time that they're working.
So why do you want to call them broke ass people?
Because they're not getting paid. If I'm working and I'm not getting paid, I'm broke ass.
No, it's
We
decent.
can reference someone who did a job. Okay.
Christianation.
Dale was going to reference you.
Yo, Dale has gone past that, please. He's recovering. He's a recovering victim.
He is.
But But yeah, we were saying that Zambia is witnessing a troubling increase in reliance on free or unpaid professional labor, especially in specialized fields where skill gaps are acute. Engineering? Yeah.
Doctors are not acute skills gaps.
Yes.
No. Can I tell you where my story starts with this?
Tell us about your younger experience.
No, where my story starts with this.
Okay.
So last year, I don't know if you remember, my family was over in October. My mom and my sister were over in October.
Yeah.
And my sister invited a close cousin of hers, long story, close cousin of hers to come stay with us. Lovely girl. She came from Luanshya. And she came, stayed with us. And so I'm talking to her and I'm like, oh, so what do you do? She's like, oh, I'm a nurse. And she works in the maternity ward. And, and I'm like, oh, that's really nice. Delivering babies, what.
Yeah.
And somehow the conversation got to, no, I'm an intern. So I said, oh, so like, you're not qualified then, because for me, an internship is someone who doesn't have the qualification or
On
the
their way to
experience.
getting, yes.
Yes. And so she said, no, I studied, I qualified. And I'm like, oh. So she's been working free for 2 years.
Yep.
And I'm just listening to this conversation, like shocked. She has 2 children, a husband, and she's trying to hold up her home. And I think she said something about the relationship was a little bit off and on. So anytime he disappears, how's she going to pay for the children that she has? Right? So she's scrimping and scraping and trying to make sure that she can afford to still work, because she needs to be on that list of people who eventually get promoted, because that's the other problem.
Confirmed.
Yeah. So I was shocked. I was like, interning is like 6 months. You've been doing this 2 years.
So what happens here is you have a crisis, and then they'll say, we need volunteers. So what happened to us this year or last year, if you remember very well, there was a crisis with people pooping all over the place because of cholera. Remember? So they decided to set up Hero Stadium as is it Ground Zero?
Yes.
Yeah. It was the main center to take you when you're sick. That's why you'll be treated, and everything will be processed. You'll be processed from there. They'll receive you, they'll treat you, they'll discharge you from there for the duration of your sickness. So what happened was, the guys who'd been interning before, like your cousin, ended up being skipped because the volunteers were eventually the ones who were employed.
I don't quite agree, because she's a maternity ward nurse. So she wouldn't be someone called up for the cholera situation.
No, I'm
for
giving you an example. I'm not saying directly.
What I'm sort of saying is, the cholera thing is one area,
Yeah.
but consistently they are relying on people who finish qualifying their university degrees, and then they end up in the system. And according to the system, you're then working for 1 year, 2 years. I don't know how long you're supposed to intern for.
I think, like you said, maximum should be 6 months.
That's what it should be. But according to the health minister, he's just like, well, if you're going to give up your time, it's up to you.
God help me, please. I want to say some
Please
stuff.
say it. You need to say it.
Yay.
The man needs to be exposed.
I almost blurted out something. Then I remember the cyber law.
What cyber law? Truth is truth.
Truth is going to be squashed by the cyber law. They'll be like, hey, kareka muntu kare.
Yeah, we're not
Kareka fere pin.
Come at me, bruh. Come. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah, so what has happened is that we've noticed that many public health interns and junior doctors are expected to work in clinics and hospitals with little or no compensation, despite contributing significantly to patient care and community health services. I spoke to, earlier on, I think 3 weeks ago, I spoke to the chairperson, the president of the Resident Doctors Association, and he explained...
What's his name? Is it Paul Chiwe?
Yeah. He explained, he said something, well, it touches on what you're saying. Like, you'll have a remote post, like in Vubwi somewhere, where this guy, who is unqualified, to look after the entire operation. There is the one manning it anyway, because he's just either a simple clinician, and when I say clinician, I'm really restricting it to anyone below doctor.
Yes.
But he's the one now, the village people, they are sized to call by doctor.
Yeah.
So you have instances where this is a guy who has to attend to pregnant women, and because tradition kicks in sometimes, they will not allow him to attend to a pregnant woman because he's a guy.
Right.
So these are some of the challenges they are facing. So in as far as they are concerned, the interns and the junior doctors and whatnot, they are able to offer a service and they don't want to be appreciated for it. So when you've got utterances by a person like the minister, the honorable minister, it does not sit well with the people. That is why at some point they down their tools and said, we are filling in a void. And mind you, there is a deficit still. So even if they employ them full time, there will still be a deficit. They need to reach a certain threshold of, we need these ones in the system, and then look for volunteers or interns. But it's not happening. So when the minister comes out and says, you can do whatever you want and whatever, it's like, this brother has never experienced a situation where, you know, you've gone to work, you've gone to school, and they've promised you work, and they're not creating these jobs. But the establishment is busy buying Toyota Hiluxes, Nama Toyota VX. It's really sad.
How many people can you pay for from the price of a Hilux?
A lot of people, because the salaries are not that good.
This is my
so
point.
you pay a lot of people.
This is my point. I go back to what I said in the other episode.
Yeah.
Ministers should drive Vitzes.
Yeah. Or just be driven and then you park the damn car and then the
just
driver
be in a
takes it back.
Vitz.
Yeah. And then in the engineering profession, you had an encounter.
Hang on, you're rushing too much. So, my issue is that each of the ministries gets a budget at whatever stage, beginning of the year or beginning of the term. I don't know what their budgets are, right?
Yeah.
Your budget should account for, we have X amount of hospitals,
Yep.
X amount of requirements for doctors, nurses, other clinicians, as you say. Yes? Now, what I think is happening is that they're just saying, how many do we have currently? And then they leave it at that. So, for example, in the UK, you know, we have the NHS, right? National Health Service, and their job is to make sure, because similarly, the NHS, you don't pay for medical services, right? It's part of what you get as a citizen, right? Oh, you do pay, obviously, but you know, you don't need, like the Americans, you have to pay for every freaking medical situation that you have. With the NHS, the hospitals are given a budget. The hospital defines, we have these different departments in our hospital.
Yep.
We've had this much number of patients coming into the hospital.
Yeah.
There's a ratio of doctors to patients, for example. So one doctor should only be managing like maybe 3 patients, as an example. I don't know what the actual numbers are.
Yep.
Now, if my hospital is in central London, the likelihood is, I'm making these numbers up just to give you as an example.
Yeah.
Hospital X has 20,000 patients in a month that have come through the doors. And those 20,000 patients, we have to understand what was the medical issues that they came with. Some are very minor, some are specific, and so on. So you have to understand that. So then you have to say, it's not just a basic clinician. You have to have qualified in those different areas. The doctors, to be able to look after that. Then you have to be able to say, okay, we had, for example, let's just take the cholera, right? Who knows how to treat cholera? We had, of the 20,000, we had 7,000 patients come in with cholera.
Yeah.
7,000 patients with cholera, we need 5 patients per doctor. So 7,000 divided by 5. That tells you how many doctors you need.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's like the funnel as we get closer and closer to what is the actual requirement that we need. This is what our minister was totally avoiding in the conversations when he was being interviewed, because he turns around and just says, you're volunteering, that's up to you.
Yeah.
What he's not saying is, according to our numbers that we did, we actually have enough capacity to manage the patients that are coming into the hospital. So if you're volunteering, thank you very much. That's a bit of extra that we have. But in fact, we have not enough doctors and a surplus of patients coming in, and then also not enough volunteers. But he has a Hilux.
Yeah, and the saloon.
And this is the problem. So for me, it's like even him, he should be looking at the ministry that he's overseeing and giving to the ministry as much as possible. What makes me a good minister is that I have given to my ministry as much as possible, as much as I'm capable of. Not to then turn around and dismiss these people and say, if you want to volunteer, that's up to you.
But it gets worse. Once they get a pushback, they flip it. They start politicking. So the minister, in that instance, missed the point. The difference between service delivery and politicking. That's where there was a confusion.
Correct.
He decided to get the whole aspect, like you're putting it, of service delivery, chuck it.
Yep.
And he started politicking with the whole stream of management. Because these guys were approached and told, who is sponsoring you? Who is sponsoring this drive towards downing your tools?
So you're saying that they were insinuating that while they were going to be off, someone was going to be paying for them?
No, somebody was paying them to take that action of downing their tools. As in where the Resident Doctors Association volunteers have decided, the interns have decided we're downing our tools because you're not taking care of us. You're not showing any sign, even any remote sign of, look, can we sit down and see how best we can start compensating you, either for your transport or your meals or anything? No. So when they got the pushback from these guys, their immediate reaction was, somebody's paying these guys to do this. That's now contrasting service delivery, like you spoke about it, and politicking.
100%.
So at any given moment...
But here's the thing. You haven't been paying me. What difference does it make if I come to your hospital or if I stay at home?
Yeah, so
I'm
stay home.
still not paid.
Exactly.
So why should anyone be paying me?
So the thing is, you need me. Okay? So here's the minister's thing. Where they keep missing it. They need me as an intern, as a volunteer, whatever category I'm in. I'm not formally engaged. Okay? But once I decide, look, I can't do this anymore. All right, I don't have, and like the way it was put by these professionals, like, look, not all the volunteers or the interns come from well-to-do families that sponsor them in terms of.
Let me just.
Wait.
If they are.
No, I want to give you his perspective. Like what they were also missing was not everyone could be backed by their family in terms of transport to go and do the work, because at the end of the day, it morphs actually into. We can't give you this job because you don't have the experience. So he's saying, wait a minute, your cousin worked for two years. Nothing happening. There are guys who worked for 4 years.
Yes.
So when they want their jobs now, they find that the new graduates who worked for 3 months, 6 months, get full-time employment.
Some of them.
Yeah.
So there was a thing that that Paul Chiba was referencing, and he said, each year when they do the intake, there's obviously a set number that maybe they've defined, like in total we need, I don't know, whatever it is, like 3,000, 4,000 interns to help manage the whole of Zambia, right? This one is in this province, that province, whatever. What happened was they found that there was 250 odd interns which were not on the list of applicants, and apparently they had decided not to put out the process of application.
Yeah, the advert.
Yes, which meant, where did these 250 come from if no advert had been put out?
Exactly.
So now what we find is the whole nepotism that happens a lot in Zambia. Me, I'm in the Ministry of Health, I'll get you a job, right? So that's where those people come in, and then suddenly you're now on a list that there shouldn't be a list.
There should not be a list.
Exactly.
You apply, they check out, they look at your credentials, your qualifications, and like, look, on top of that, this person has been interning for the last 2 years. So not to use the word automatically, but clearly they are in a favorable position to get the job. So one of the problems they've had is exactly the issue of, wait a minute, who is this person? So all of a sudden you can't even intern there because there is a person who's now doing a job and they're getting paid for it. It's a very big problem. The issue of working detaching the idea of I'm a politician to I'm giving service delivery. So one of the arguments they will come up with is saying we don't have the resource envelope from the Ministry of Finance. And that comes back to what you were saying. If at the beginning of the year, this is what I need as a ministry.
Yeah.
This is the entire amount of money I need. I need 5 billion kwacha to run this ministry. And it's broken down in so many components. There is an issue of human capital, and it's going to cost so much.
Add on top of that their medication is also free.
Yes.
So where are they spending their money?
Well, they've got a lot of allowances to pay.
Hilaxes.
Yes. No, but
Farms.
What farm?
I have a farm in Shani. I've got a farm in the way Zambians like farms.
They got 5 mole rats at the farm.
Is she?
Mole rats.
Oh.
Yeah, but I thought also we should talk about the issue of the perils of not paying interns in specialized sectors. But before I get to that, did you want to talk about your experience with the Yango driver?
Yes.
Yeah.
So and that speaks to that. So earlier this week, I grabbed my Yango, as always. And, sometimes you have a conversation with them. Some of them decent enough that you can start a conversation. And I mean this in the nicest way. He was a very articulate young man.
Yeah.
And he asked me a few questions. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. I wasn't in the mood to chat, really. But as I sort of opened up, I start talking to him. So I said to him, oh, so do you do this full time? Or have you got another job on the side, which tends to be what's happening. So he goes, no, I'm a mechanical engineer. And he starts explaining to me, he used to work in the mines, a supplier to the mines. He used to work for them I can't remember where it was, but he got made redundant. He was on a contract. The contract ended, so then they didn't renew his contract. So now he had to find another job. So he then finds himself back here in Lusaka, and now he's got a job with the Ministry of Town Planning and I don't know.
Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development.
Town planning was part of it because I remember the town planning.
Yeah, but it's under that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, so I'm like, oh, okay, because I have a big issue with Zambia's town planning. That's another problem. That's another episode.
Another vibe.
So I'm like, okay. So, and then he starts to say, yeah, but and it just happens to be, he says, I'm volunteering, I'm not paid. Oh. So I said, why? Well, just out of conversation, why? And he goes, it's really hard to get a job. So the only thing you can do is volunteer. And I said, okay, so how long have you been volunteering? He said, 4 months. And I said, okay, so how are you paying for things? He goes, I'm not. This is why I'm doing the Yango. And he said, right now, I should be at the office. But because I know when I get there, I have to wait for them to give me something to do. So I figured, I have a car, let me do Yango instead. So when they find something for me to do, I'll then go and do that thing.
They hollers him.
Yeah. So then I said, okay. So I said, but how'd you get by with finances? And he said, this is the problem with them expecting us to volunteer. Me, I've got my requirements. I have a girlfriend. I would like to get married. I'd like to get a house. How am I supposed to do any of that under me volunteering?
Yeah.
And I said, this is the problem. It really frustrated me, actually. I was really pissed off when I heard him, because it's so selfish and self-centered of the government to think that it's okay for people to volunteer. No, they're looking for a route into getting an income. And then, to make it worse, he then turned around and said, I don't even have a passion for my job.
Because it doesn't get paid.
Because I don't get paid. So I'm trying to find something else to do. And in our world of social media, back in the day, in the 80s and 90s, you only had one job. There was no social media. You would sit there, Now, when you're on social media and they're busy telling you 5 easy ways to become an entrepreneur, you think I'm hanging around for your government job?
No. I don't think so.
This is the problem. So our minister thinking so selfishly that, of course, they're going to volunteer. No, people don't need to, right? And it's not even, they even lose the passion for the job that they have. I qualified in a specific area. I'm volunteering. I'm working for free. the passion disappears very quickly. Nobody wants to be on the breadline. We all want to be rich, just like our minister in his nice cars and his nice suits and his nice beard that he has that always looks so good.
Are you trying to say something nice about him?
I'm trying to hint that he can be immaculately turned out because he can afford it. And I'm sure his perfume pays lentils as well.
Oh, Lord.
But everybody else should be sitting there waiting. 4 years and you don't have a full-time job.
No. And someone who just graduated comes and gets your spot.
That's another thing, though. I mean, I don't like
same job.
that.
No, same job.
I don't like that.
But it's happening.
But the reason that's happening is it's like saying to you, you've done your 4 years. Now we're going to put another one in for another 4 years, which means we'll never pay you. That's all that means.
But the difference is the new one who comes in gets a full-time job with pay.
No,
with pay.
If they have someone who knows someone.
That's why they've come in, Kabidi.
No, we're saying the same thing in different ways.
Okay.
Right?
Potato.
You get given the job because you know someone, not because you're the same as the other person who didn't know anyone.
Yeah. I got it. So, the perils of not paying interns in specialized sectors. I listed down 3. Mm-hmm. Exploitation and demotivation.
Imagine
exactly
the
what you said.
Government is exploiting the citizens.
Hammer, come on, preach.
It's as simple as that. You're exploiting the citizens, and then you want them to vote for you. Come on now.
There. Yeah, I was coming there. You go and say, I'm your son. You know, they go and prostrate themselves before the chief and say, no, I need your votes again. And the guy has done
Here's a
diddly.
t-shirt. Zambians, stop accepting fucking t-shirts and chitenges.
Mandini.
Stop it.
Accept them, but don't vote for them.
Stop it.
Tell
So
her
give me a job.
Dude, listen. When was the last time the late Edgar Lungu ran for government? For office, rather?
Whenever it was.
Do you see they still have brand new powered by ECL?
The people who are going to do the, you know, like when they said, oh, this is going to be the agenda for when Lungu's body is brought back. And let me see all these green and white, you know, the ones with the big round circle with his face.
Yeah.
Everywhere I'm seeing them.
Hey. Brand new hoodies. They still wear them now. When you go in the hood, Wasanga Alenda, or on a bicycle, powered by ECL.
Me, I like the one that's torn. It's torn. And they're still wearing it. I'm like,
Yeah, you see those ones all the time. And a few by RB, the MMD ones.
Oh, I don't know that one. And I've never seen a UPND one.
No, I'm talking about MMD.
No, I'm also saying, compared to the Lungu one, I don't see UPND ones. When we still see Lungu ones.
The PF ones.
The topic has totally gone.
Anyway, yeah, we're talking about, we digress.
Very much so.
We're going to ask our post-production team to chop, remove. Yeah, please, if you can, delete that stuff.
I think it's fine.
We're in a bad period right now. Yeah, but the issue of your government seeking your votes, okay, getting those votes, what do you do for them afterwards? You exploit and you demotivate.
100%.
When they complain, you say, well, you volunteered. We didn't ask you.
What are the tickets that governments always go on? We're here for the youth.
Yeah.
I've just qualified from university. 4 years later, I'm still on the breadline.
Yeah.
This is the reason I keep saying breadline is they're not earning money.
No, they're not.
So why are we trying to pretend that, you know, we should make it seem like beginning professional they're on the breadline. Motherfuckers ain't got no money.
Okay. So the main response to the exploitation and demotivation is that unpaid internships can exploit young professionals. So imagine the young girls, what they fall into by what the bosses do.
Baddie status.
You get it?
Yes, I get it.
And this also leads to feelings of being undervalued and demotivated, which can impact productivity and quality of service. So if you're an intern for the last 3-4 years, you are compromised, especially if you're a female, because the guys up there will end up asking for favors to keep you there. You understand now?
I think that's a specific take. But let's go to when the ZD, what are these guys called? The ones who went on strike, who said that we're removing
The
our
Resident Doctors
volunteers?
Association.
Yes.
Yes.
When they went on strike, they started to get phone calls. First, you said, who's paying for them, right?
Yeah.
Secondly,
No, they were accused that you guys have gone on strike because someone is sponsoring this stupid idea.
Right.
That was pushback from the government.
yes. And then specifically, they were getting calls. If you're going to strike, you're not coming back to a job.
Yeah.
So it's used as a weapon against you, right?
Evidently.
So if you don't come in, you won't have a job.
I need you.
Even though you didn't have a job.
I need you. I don't want to pay you, but you need to come back.
Yes, yes. But also to exploit you, to say, if you don't come back, like, what do you have over me
But you're
other
not
than
paying
nothing?
me anyway.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, but what I'm trying to say is it's like an abusive relationship. When a guy says, if you tell anyone, I'll kill you, right? And it's the government is saying, if you don't come back, you definitely won't have a job.
Definitely. Point number 2, equity and access. Only those with financial support, I think the good Dr. Pochi alluded to this, only those with financial support can afford to work for free, deepening social and economic inequalities and limiting opportunities for talented but disadvantaged youth. Because in a pool of volunteers, professionals who are not being paid, those who come from those families and need support, a brother can say, look, I've got you. You're staying with me, so rent is covered, food is covered, and I'll give you transport. It disturbs the flow. When the rest of them want to go to work, he says, want to go on strike. He only does it because it's a collective effort. Because at some point they'll be like, but I'm here for the experience.
No,
Chanda. I'm giving. It's a point of argument.
Yes.
So it's affecting the issue of equity and then access.
And I want to put the other side to
Yeah,
it.
no, go ahead.
Which is, it's like the black tax term, right?
Yeah.
Because I have a job that pays me every month,
Yeah.
my black tax is to you who is volunteering as a doctor, but they're not paying you, but you're staying in my house.
Yeah, I hear you.
So why should I pay for what the government isn't paying?
Okay.
Why is it my responsibility to make sure you on a monthly basis still get to eat, be clothed, and so on?
No, I'm not arguing with you.
No, I'm not saying you are.
yeah.
I'm saying this is the other
You're
point.
likening it to that, yes, yes.
So me, who does have a job,
Yeah,
I now have to pay for you because the government isn't paying you.
exactly.
Why
what's
should
going on.
I?
Yeah, because they're saying that given the situation that you're in, we don't care because some of you have the support. And that's why they gather together. No, let me tell you. That's why they don't care that I have support from you.
Yes.
I'll still go on strike because we're doing it together as a unit.
But Chanda, this is a basic survival instinct, right?
I need to keep this job.
Yeah.
If I don't keep this job, I don't have anything. They've given me a false dream,
There's hope.
false hope.
Stay. You'll get
If you stay, you'll get something somewhere. Right?
You'll be
You
employed.
trained as a doctor for all those years.
7 years, I think.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And now another 4 years. God damn it!
Yeah, definitely.
I'm so over this. Like, guys, keep striking. Leave this government.
I got a third point.
Become a baddie. Huh? What do guys become?
Yeah.
John Sawyer. Huh? Mario. May I call them John Sawyer? You know what a John Sawyer is?
Sorry, word.
Sorry, go.
So we have a third point.
There are many female ministers who would look after you.
Oh my God. Our female ministers, because I'm a very decent young man, I'm not saying anything bad about you ladies. You are our queens.
Sure, okay.
Yeah. But the third point is what they're calling skill drain.
Yes.
You know what happened when there was an issue of downing our tools and whatnot? There was a statement issued by some government, I think ministry, that there's a country that's looking for doctors, so we're sending them our doctors or something. So people are like, what is going on here? You don't have the doctors and you're crying for them to help because the minute they down their tools, the difference, the gap was immediately felt. And even the hours they work. I personally know a few of them who are like, yo, dude, we don't get paid for this. And in Namibia, they pay.
Yes.
They pay for their interns.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was reading somewhere like they pay really well. But interns should be paid for.
Okay, let's be fair. They should be appreciated.
Yes.
Aye.
Yeah.
So whether it's money or not,
That's the
you just
thing.
need to make sure they're in the right frame. They don't feel exploited.
I think the point that you make is to be appreciated,
Yes. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And even if you are sacrificing or giving your passion for the job, let's not be stupid. None of these people want to work for free.
Nobody.
They just have to because the government hasn't sorted out its structure on how to have the right number of people working in each one of the hospitals that exists.
Yeah.
Because the government wants to say there's not enough funds for XYZ, but there's funds for Hiluxes, right?
Big money.
So it's not the volunteers' problem. You have to sacrifice in the vain hope you'll get something.
Yeah.
But in other countries, they realize you're sacrificing, let's give you a little bit, right? And if it works out, as soon as it works out, if you are a good doctor, I'm sorry, if you're a good doctor, I'll be jumping on you. I want you in my medical service.
Definitely.
I need to keep you.
Definitely.
But if you're then going, they're not paying me, let me go drive Yango, what passion are you going to show?
Oh, he's been demotivated. He's tried. Clearly, first he lost his contract. They did not renew his contract.
Yep.
Remember, he was like, okay, we're done with you. But so he moved to a different
Town
employer, different
and
town.
employer.
Yes,
Yep.
and he took a risk and
Yep.
he figured, I can try, I can push.
He's got no choice.
Yes, he has to push.
He has to. If someone says
You can volunteer, you go, okay.
Yeah. The idea of volunteering, clearly, it's supposed to have a good end.
Yes.
Where, well, you volunteer for a long time and we value your services.
And if you're not good,
they'll tell you,
go. Don't keep me for 4 years. I'm sorry. There should be a term limit on volunteering. Tell them you volunteer for 1 year. After a year, you have to leave.
I think workers...
Then where will the hospitals be?
There will be no hospital. There will have nurses and cleaners. Aye. And clinic officers. But here's the thing. I think MultiChoice tried to do that, and there was a lot of pushback from the... Because MultiChoice used to keep people on internship, on temporary employment for quite a long time as well.
well, we know the media industry, don't we?
We're just talking.
Okay. I'm also just saying. We know the media industry.
You're about to collude.
Or flash, no cash.
Yeah.
You see these people.
Anyway,
carry on.
the bottom line is that talented individuals may leave the country, or because of the skill drain, talented individuals may leave the country or the profession in search of paid opportunities elsewhere, worsening Zambia's skills gap in critical sectors.
100%.
So,
So, like I just said, right? I'm a good doctor,
yeah.
right? If you don't snap me up, guess where I'm going?
Yeah.
Somewhere else.
I'll go somewhere else.
Remember when I was in hospital last year, when I had my appendix removed, the guys, to my doctors would come in and they were all like 12 years old. No, they were all like, like very young, either just qualified or whatever.
This cougar behavior needs to come to
No,
an end.
no, I didn't mean it in that sense.
I'm
I
just
meant it in
playing.
a,
Yeah.
they're very young.
You could tell as soon as he
You
walks
just
in.
know that these are very young kids, and either they're very affordable in the hospital that you're in. So anyway, this one guy comes and is, oh, so where are you from? And I'm like, oh yeah, I was in the UK, blah, blah, blah. I really want to go to the UK. And I'm like, for what? Because then we can get good money. So then I had to explain, okay, you earn good money, but you spend a lot more money abroad as well, But it's the point I'm trying to make is his aspiration was not to stay in Zambia.
No way.
It was to get out of Zambia as quickly as possible to get more money.
Yeah, he'll get the experience he needs. And the junior ones like you're talking about, in the normal professionally run hospitals here, the private hospitals, they're the ones you find doing the graveyard shifts, The senior doctors, they will do the morning to 12 o'clock, the bugger off to go and consult elsewhere. So when you go to the hospital in the night, it's very rare to find a seasoned senior doctor. But they'll holler at them if something grave has happened.
Yes, they're available, yeah.
So in the night, you find these same ones, like the one who came to your hospital. They will do all the rounds, and then in the morning, go and sleep for 3 hours, 4 hours. But the skill drain is very, very, very
Yes.
serious. The guys,
Especially when, if you remember a few years ago, like the UK and all these other places were always employing nurses.
So you would literally qualify, sit an exam. Oh, that was what he said actually. He said he needed 4,000 or 5,000 kwacha to sit the exam, which would then allow him to be accepted abroad. But he didn't have the 4,000 kwacha. And so that's where I was like, Jesus Christ. They just want the next exit strategy.
Yeah.
And our country is left with nothing.
so I agree with you and you agree with me. Agreed?
100%.
Shall we talk about the risks and consequences of unpaid internships?
Well, that was a risk, wasn't it?
Well,
They're
let's-
quick to exit, but carry on.
But here's one that we didn't consider. Malpractice and quality concerns.
100%.
In the health sector, unpaid or underpaid interns may be overworked and under-supervised, increasing the risk of errors and malpractice which can endanger lives. So what normally happens is, I think Dr. Chiva alluded to it, where this person's an intern and they've screwed up on a patient. There is legal action there. Why they are not covered is because they are not employed by the hospital. So it's me who takes the risk. I'm volunteer. Imagine I'm volunteering to do a job and something goes wrong. These guys are not there to back me up. They are not there to come and say, look, can we talk and see how we can resolve this issue? Because maybe their patient, their relative, as you know, you're supposed to castrate or circumcise, and you do the other way around, whatever it is. You're supposed to remove the appendix, you remove the gallbladder.
Just any kind of malpractice,
Yeah.
either way. Yes. Yeah.
So the guy says, look, in this instance, guess what happens? He's on his
You're
own.
on your own, exactly.
Yeah.
Did you see the young man who,
His court case, I think it's supposed to, was it the 17th of June or July? He was arrested for raping 2 women. And he's a volunteer doctor.
Oh, Lord.
yeah.
So was that an accusation or it happened?
So he's been accused, and he the thing that I saw, he'd gone to court, but they weren't able to get the people who were accusing him. So he was given a new court date. Now, my point is, he might be innocent,
There you go.
or he might be guilty, but he's a volunteer,
Yeah.
and he doesn't have the backing of the Doctors Association.
Nada. They would want to back him,
Yeah.
but the hospital, the ministry will not be there. They'll be like, what mandate do you guys have to back up this person who did this? In addition to risks of malpractice and poor quality of work, we should add what's known as, and I think indirectly we both alluded to it, we need to expand on reputational damage to government and institutions.
They have no reputation. What are you talking about?
Yeah, because the thing is, we zoom in on government, and yet the decision was made by one politician,
Right.
2 politicians. Okay, so what it says is that the reliance on unpaid professionals labor portrays the government as exploitative, which we talked about later, and indifferent to labor rights, damaging its image domestically and internationally. It may also discourage qualified professionals from seeking government employment. We talked about all these things indirectly, but they don't give a rat's ass about it.
No, but I think there is actually a law that says you have to pay the volunteers as well. Like they can't work for free indefinitely.
Well,
And there is a law somewhere. I don't know what it is. I don't know if you can find it.
the labor thing says, how do I put it? It's the violation of labor rights and employment laws. Okay, and it's something
So
like
labor rights.
yeah. Zambia's Employment Act and Employment Code Act provide for fair remuneration and protection of workers' rights.
So the government is breaking the law.
Yeah, hiring unpaid professionals or interns contradicts these legal frameworks and undermines labor standards.
The government is breaking the law.
Yeah,
I just want to emphasize that.
I agree with you. You can say it.
Unless it's a cyber law. Come and get me. Come at me,
You
bruh.
you can say it.
Come at me, Gov.
Stop Olubodi.
That way.
Yeah. So that is what they're violating,
Yeah.
and we're trying to make sure.
So imagine how many people in doctors, nurses, engineers, and other areas of business that what we don't have is an actual quantifiable number here. Okay, like how many people actually work as a volunteer in Zambia, have been working for a volunteer for more than 1 year, let's say, right? And have not been paid, have not been fairly paid for their work under the government.
I hear you.
All these people vote for any other government. Do not vote for the same government.
I think people
because you still ain't gonna get paid.
Yeah, they need to realize that government is not an NGO.
That's what governments should run under. When you're running for next political office, you run under that thing and you say, of the 7,000 people who are volunteers, you will all get jobs under our government. That's how a government should run.
Contrast that with the interns who are doing the work, and then you've got a crisis. The volunteers are the ones who are employed.
Yes.
It's sad. So we've talked about reputational damage, and also we needed to zero in on personal reputational damage, because the same institutions flip it and say, we are okay, it's this one who messed up. So references are not given because they'll say, we can't, if we do a reference for Tanya, we're simply going to say, she's the one who caused the death or injury to this person by the way she acted or the way she worked. So I don't think the government realizes that the factor of reputational damage should just not be on their side.
This is Zambian government's reputation is what? Those things only count abroad.
Here, you know where it counts. It counts reputationally when you have to pay damages. Nobody ever pays for damages in Zambia. So in the UK or America, when you hear that the government has been sued, and then the government pays out money, that's the reputational damage.
Yeah.
Where has government paid out here?
Well, they pay the most. I'll tell you the truth, and I'm
Who
not
has
gonna lie.
sued
No, let me
government
give you an
and been
example.
paid?
Let me give you an example.
I was clarifying the question.
If you are a politician who was wrongfully imprisoned or put up a better argument against the government prosecutor, there is 100% likelihood that you're going to get paid.
Politicians.
And that's why I say politicians.
No, I was clarifying
and that
that.
is why most of these political cases end up with the government paying damages. Wrongful imprisonment, you lost this, I did that. Private basis, it's very difficult. It is very difficult. Because guess what? They value more paying off a politician because they think they'll sway more votes away from them in future. And then also because that politician in future can just be paid off and say, anyway, come, join our camp.
Well, exactly. That is exactly. I know a few politicians who receive regular incomes.
You know many. Legal and ethical issues. Failure to pay interns, especially when they are performing essential work, may contravene labor laws and ethical standards, exposing employers' legal action. Our minister decided to get that and chuck it. It doesn't matter. If these guys decide to sue,
but ministers in general have a habit of undermining when something first comes out. You know, what that minister did was really undermine the experiences. You know, like the Americans love my lived experience. He undermined volunteers and their services. And he talked as though he's talking about one person.
Yeah.
But like I said, if you talk about, maybe 10,000 people, doctors? I don't know how many.
Just do this. It's countrywide.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to establish, right? Every hospital in Zambia has many volunteer doctors. 50%, according to Chibwe, 50% of doctors, any medical place that you go to, 50% of them are working for free. And you won't even know that this doctor that you spoke to is not getting paid.
Yeah, you won't know. The association will know. All they know is that...
But you as a patient...
No, you won't have no idea.
You've got no idea that this man has not been paid the whole time he's worked here. To your point of the gentleman at the beginning, who's managing the whole place.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. It says real-world examples are public health interns in Zambia often deployed in rural clinics with no pay, even as they feel critical staffing gaps.
And I was saying to someone,
this is slightly a tangent, right? Tech company. And he was saying, we don't need to have like big job titles. right? So people wanted, I'm a lead engineer, I'm a senior engineer, I'm head of marketing, da da da. He said, no, we're all the same. I said, no, this is Zambia. The only thing people have is their job title because they don't have the money to go with it. So if you are heading up the hospital and the whole village knows you're the head of the hospital, even though you don't get paid anything, ubukankala ule familia uko kwini.
We're boss.
Uh-huh.
We're boss. Yeah, I hear you. That was one real world example of the health sector. Somebody being deployed in a rural setting with absolutely no support. You go there, and one of the reasons some teachers run back is because they're deployed to go and work in what remote place do you and I know? Let's say Ukokwini. And they go and find that 5 teachers are sharing one house.
Yes.
And then one of those teachers is married.
My cousin was a young lady who qualified as a teacher, and she was sent off to some village somewhere, and she was put into how do you call it? Just a brick house, no electricity, no nothing in it. And you've come from Lusaka. And she was like, ow, Mayo.
I'm out.
She came back.
Yeah. I'll just wait for something else to come up. Yeah. So that's one thing that's happening. In the engineering sector also, civil engineering graduates are regularly engaged as interns on government projects, but may go months without any form of compensation or allowance. But Eulipo, Masangati ngani construction site, the bloody thing is badly done. And someone just comes and signs off.
Yes.
So I was, when I went to Mansa a few weeks ago, and I have a big issue with the quality of the roads that they're doing. You're doing 4 lanes. You've got trucks and trucks and trucks still using the roads when they should be on the rail systems. But either way, it's heavy laden with copper and heavy materials. Yeah. The sun beats down on our roads. The sun melts the roads. We're always getting dents in the roads.
Yeah.
The thickness, the fact that I can do this with one hand, and that's the thickness of the road that we're building.
That's a problem.
Now, if you're a qualified engineer who is paid and is proud of your job, do you think that you would turn around and say, this is substandard, we should not be doing this? Or, because you're not paid, you just go, anyway, I know it's not right. And you go, you're drinking with your friends. It's a rubbish road, it's rubbish.
And we hear that a lot.
And you won't see any difference because they just sign everything off because they know, I'm not getting paid for it. Why should I care? So that's the substandard service that we're now having to receive.
Long-term implications. Exactly. Persistent, underpaid interns lower morale and may lead to a decline in the quality of public service delivery. That road will work for 2 years.
If we're lucky.
I think most of them are
That's
like
embarrassing.
under a year.
A road should be like 10 years, 15 years.
Yeah, but they're also categorized, like you are saying. For a long time, there's been a fight between what they call using rubber and using rail. Using rubber as in the road.
Yes.
So the guys who are running the rail, saying a lot of goods need to be moved onto the tracks.
Yes.
Because there's a less beat
None
down
of these
on
coppers should be going on the road. But guess what? Now this is again diverting. There's a cartel in logistics.
There's a cartel in logistics and there's a lot of money to be made.
Cartel.
If I say, well, that project can wait for another 2-3 years, I'm getting my retirement. Mm-hmm. And I don't even work for them, but I'm in that, I'm on cartel. It's unbelievable. A few years back, I think the government got a bond, one of the bonds, and a large chunk of that money was given to the Zambia Railways. We still don't know the heck what happened.
To do what?
To revamp the rail
Because
lines.
the rails I see were from 1964. It's the same ones.
Madam, no. Pre-1964. Come on. Hush. Anyway.
Colonial.
You should know names like Welensky.
Oh, I don't actually know that name.
That's in Njanji's. I think he was the owner of State House. He used to live in State House. I think he was the governor of State House in Osaka or something.
No, State House was built off a loan.
No, the guy used to live there.
The story I know is that they borrowed money to build State House.
He's going to Google it for us.
Yeah, at some point.
Google it for us and see who Roy Welensky.
Dale's like, I got other shit to do.
No, Roy Welensky used to live in State House. But then we digress.
Yes.
We're talking about workforce morale as one of the long-term implications. The young man is driving a Yango and he's saying, I've got no passion for my job.
Career development.
Takuli.
How are you going to develop your career? Huh?
The baddies are making money, no problems on TikTok.
Working
First
hard.
paycheck.
Yes.
They're not even working hard.
No. You are the one working hard.
Yes.
But
You're sweating your balls off and she's just showing her boobs and her ass. And she's earning money.
yeah.
Speechless.
Yeah. I go through a lot.
Both of you are shaking your
You
heads.
guys need to understand what I go through here with this woman. She emotionally me up.
Just keep it real.
But Dale, please beep that. My kids are
Nope.
watching this. Professional standards are compromised.
Yes.
I am not motivated, but if I still stay in the job, I'll just sign off.
Yeah.
It's not valid still. As long as I'm an intern, I will not sign off something which I know I should sign off because I have to wait for a boss the workshop when I'm somewhere. All right. So the work is not professionally done. The guys are simply saying, wait.
But to a degree, you're not even given, the word is autonomy.
Yeah.
Right? You can't do your job and go, you know what?
I will take it upon myself to improve this process because I'm not even paid. And if I dare, like if you were my boss, right? And I see that there's an area for improvement and you're just like, "Ikala fie
Yeah.
because you're not even getting paid or anything. So I've got no reason to want to do better. But if I came to you and said, Chanda, I think we can improve this and this and this. And you, because you're paying me as my boss, I like that. Let's do that. And I pay you more because I like the value you bring to my business.
The best version of you gets the job done.
But
and
instead
gets
here,
gets rewarded.
exactly. Here we just say, ikalafi. Nine woli muhilax, not you.
Do you know the car the boss drives? I know of one guy here because he was simply connected. This man has been in every administration except this one. We still do not know why he's not in jail. But I know for sure that when it comes to procurement, he would always buy a better car for himself than his boss. Until somebody whispered and said, Iwe, check yourself.
Wow.
Come on, check yourself. That's when he did a swap. In his last job, he did a swap and said, but boss, I think Imamole won't fear kwe. Yeah, because he would always buy top of the line. That's how we roll. But I need us to talk about something which is very, very costly. Among the long-term implications of what we've been talking about is the economic impact. You gave an example of the road, the quality of the roads.
The quality of the tar.
Yes. So, because displacing paid workers with unpaid interns reduces tax revenues and can increase unemployment
Jesus
among
Christ.
qualified. Yes.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
How stupid and basic.
Simple.
So they're not paying taxes.
How?
So this government is stupid, huh?
How?
You have all these people working for free when they could be paying taxes.
Exactly.
What a nonsense. Even if you gave them a basic wage.
You chop.
Yeah.
So if you get these 4,000 interns there, you chop 100 kwacha from each of them.
I cannot.
200 kwacha.
And that's the doctors. Then you've got the engineers. Then you've got nurses. This is
A load of others that we don't know about, whatever civil service areas that they exist.
Yeah, and other than the direct tax only, you've got the obligatory, statutory.
Manima,
Yes.
Mawawati. So
Yeah.
they're not paying any of those things.
How are they going to pay?
This is incompetence.
Economic impact of not thinking straight, just wanting a katenge, a t-shirt. No, when our time comes, we'll go and roll out the t-shirts again. We'll get new drummers and whatnot.
But the problem
It's
is those
foolishness.
are not the people who get the chtenges.
No, I'm just saying.
No,
at the end of the
I
day,
mean
you
it in
get
a sense of
Yeah.
like, this is where the government doesn't think.
No.
Right? Like, even if I was the government, I win the elections in 2026.
Boss lady.
The first thing I will do, everyone who is an intern gets a basic wage, whatever that basic wage
Yeah.
is, okay? which means that then basic wage, taxes are being paid.
Yep.
Now we've got a tiny bit of income coming in as well as the government. Now give it 5 years, 10 years. The person who I gave that job now manages to build a career.
Yep.
Within 10 years, maybe they're at the top of their game. Dr. Shani, PhD, what. They're at the top. Now they're paying more taxes into the country.
Exactly. That is the one thing our friends do not see, the actual economic impact, other than the losses on one end.
Because they function term by term.
Yeah. I don't even know if it's term by term. Vambi, I did not chew last week.
Hilux.
Yeah, I did not chew last week.
There. That's what I mean.
Why are we delaying this deal? No, tabalai manaba boss.
Brown envelope there if you
It's in the boss's office. This is every day. That's not, Shani, is it modus operandi? That should not be the modus operandi.
No, it really shouldn't.
It shouldn't, but that's what's happening. So on one end, you have to redo this road, you lose money. On the other end, you can't employ them full time, you don't get taxes from them. Economic impact, abantu lesu. Abantu they see these things and say, okay, so why don't we do the right thing here? Our objective is not to chew, because I get paid.
And this is the difference when you look at what Traore is doing, right?
Yeah.
You change the country's economic structure. You build your businesses. You set your manufacturing in your own country. You make the change.
Exactly.
Be the change you want to see, as they say that thingy said, Mandela. You know?
Or be the change you kumbwira. Every day.
They kumbwira and they want for themselves. I think that's the problem I have with the Zambian mindset. Me first.
Yeah. Have you ever stayed when we traveled? Have you ever stayed in Waldorf? That's where we're staying.
Ngavaya kuyuke.
PLO Lumumba was very, very curt with it. It's like, have you seen the African delegations at the UN where they are staying?
At the Waldorf.
How?
Chanda, which was it the Olympics, the last Olympics? I don't know which government had one person who was doing the Olympic game and 30 ministers. I can't, it was 30 ministers and their wives and children were there.
And baby mama.
And baby mama.
And the baddies as well. You just some say things that happen. No, madam, na fura get out. Narayo kule. Baby mama, na sanga you didn't give me enough to go and buy from Gap or from Louis Vuitton.
Tamuntu minena could do buy.
Exactly. As you go to your Olympics, please make sure that I'm also on holiday. There you go. But yeah, there was a delegation of peoples. Yeah. So we are doing recommendations and solutions. How do you feel about policy enhancement and following it to the letter?
You don't follow the current policy. What enhancement are you going to make? Follow the policies you actually have in place.
Stronger enforcement.
Follow your labor laws.
Yeah, so I'm getting there. I'm getting there. We're recommending. You can spit afterwards. Stronger enforcement of apprenticeship and labor laws to ensure interns and trainees are compensated fairly. Let's do it for the people.
It's a short-term solution, not long-term.
Yeah. But if policies, in fact, it's not creating a policy, it's enforcement, like you say. Let's just make sure, look, give them something to understand that they're not, inconveniencing somebody else for their transport, for their lunch. Second point is, and you love this one, institutional accountability. Government and employers must recognize the value of professional labor and commit to fair compensation, especially in sectors with acute skill shortages. We're not talking about bricklayers here. No. We're not talking about guys who dig furrows. No. We're talking about acute skills shortages and health sector, engineering, education, and that's very important.
Chanda, the whole point when people say, I'm going to train to be a doctor, a nurse, an engineer, these are careers, right? You're supposed to be building a career. I go from a generalist to a specialist. We want our doctors to eventually specialize. The fact that Lungu died outside of this country because he was not here for medical services, that for me is exactly this point. We don't have a good enough medical system for your own ex-president to die in your country or to survive in your country.
Let's work with survive. I hear you. And finally, public awareness. You know, when I say generally, we are very challenged when it comes up here, all right? I can paraphrase that in saying Zambians are down. We are not very clever.
They're just down.
We're not very
Zambians
clever
are
as a society.
down.
It's true. Because now, pera katenge, and I'm not stopping on that. Katenge and like a bloody drum beater. Hell no. But citizens and professional bodies should advocate for ethical internship practices and hold organizations accountable for exploitative arrangements. So kudos to Dr. Chiwe and your team. You were fighting. I don't know what has happened. I haven't followed it because I got pissed off.
No, but also the fact that the government tried to undermine them.
Yeah.
I was a bit like, this is the problem with the government.
Yeah.
Someone is putting something under your nose to say there's a problem here. And what you want to say is, just get back in line.
The government should look at things and say, if the people are unhappy, we need to be listening to this area. Where have we not addressed something? Because, look, I'm not saying that it's the UPND government that caused this.
No.
This has been an ongoing thing, and they've taken advantage of something that previously has been happening.
It's not the first time, I agree.
Right.
It's got nothing to do with UPND, PF, MMD.
It's become
entrenched.
a norm
It's
that should
entrenched.
not be
Yes.
there. Yes.
And it's going to stay for as long as the leadership itself, which
if
we're going
you
to talk
don't
about.
come in and
Yeah.
recognize that this should not be happening, then you are also to blame. And that's what the government has done.
Yeah. So for us, we're thinking, let's add more public awareness.
Yes.
People need to know their rights the same way every American knows their right. Even we know they're not very clever people. But at the end of the day, they will say, I'm an American.
I'm American.
Fifth
Let's make
Amendment
America
right
great
says
again.
this. Yes. You can't do that to me. I'm American. I'm going
Yeah.
to bomb you.
And you're a Zambian. You
Yes.
have every right to a job you qualified for.
Yeah. Marama, Tanya Fuchs,
Yes, babe.
what do you want to say?
I'm tired of our government.
Okay, on that tired note, Zed101 Podcast, episode Fimo Fimo. A plus.